Hey everyone, welcome to the channel, and I'm here for another video of worst songs from each album video. Now before I start, I would just like to say welcome to the channel for all the newcomers, because I do realize that I've gained a lot of new subscribers, so thanks so much to everyone who's been subscribing, and I hope that you enjoy the content on this channel. So with that being said, for this video we're going to go over the Red discography. And I'll let you guys know, in my personal opinion, what is the worst song from each album. Now, I've heard arguments that Red has never released a bad song, but therefore, even with making that argument, that's something that could make this video a little more challenging, because to me, I think there's only really a few songs from Red that I am not crazy about. Now, I wouldn't really consider any of Red's songs awful, but I do know which songs would be my least favorites. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to go through the discography, and I'll let you know which one I think is the weakest from each album. So we start off with End of Silence, which is an excellent debut album. So this is definitely a tough one. It definitely is, because if you ask me, there is no bad song from this album. Absolutely none at all. However, if you had to make me choose a weakest song from this album, I'd probably go with Wasting Time. Now, there's not really much wrong with this song, it just kind of pales in comparison to the other songs on this album. I know some people might have gone with Gave It All Away or maybe even Break Me Down, but I actually really like those songs. I mean, even with that said, even though Wasting Time would probably be my least favorite on this album, it's still not a bad song, okay? There's no bad song from this album, but I would be more inclined to say that it is one of the weaker songs on the album. So with End of Silence, I gotta go with Wasting Time. Okay, so next we got Innocence Instinct, which is one of their best albums, I'd say. This one is definitely tough because, well, like with End of Silence, there's no bad track on this album. I think all the albums, or all the songs on this album are really good. Now, when we go through these albums, I'm not going to be including deluxe editions, okay? That's something I do want to point out. But if you had to make me go with the weakest song from this album, even though there's no bad song from this album, oh boy. I would have to go with Ordinary World, which I know is only a cover. I know I've heard the artist name before, but I'm actually not sure who, or remember who covered it. But yeah, Ordinary World, it's a cover, and maybe the reason that I think it's the weakest is because it's a cover song. I'm not sure, but I think it's more than just that personally. I think this song is kind of boring, I guess. It is definitely one of the lower points on the album. Now, I think some people might have gone with maybe Start Again or Never Be the Same, but I actually really like those songs. But Ordinary World, it's got to be my pick for the weakest on Innocence and Instinct. And even though I think it's the weakest, it's not a bad song. It's really not. So, but it's got to be my pick. So next, Until We Have Faces. Now, with this one, this is an easy one for me. I'm going to go with The Best Is Yet to Come. For as long as I've been a Red fan, I've never been the biggest fan of this song. There has never been a time in my Red journey where I, binged on this song, where I had the song on repeat or whatever. That's just not something that's happened. It's not something that's ever happened with this song. I do think that this is one of the worst Red songs, to be quite honest. It's not terrible, but it's forgettable. And that's my biggest complaint with it. It, all in all, is just forgettable and it lacks replay value. Never really been the biggest fan of this one, so The Best Is Yet to Come, to me, it's easily the worst song on this album. Now next, we got Release the Panic. Another kind of easy one for me, because this album, in my opinion, has the worst Red song. The worst Red song. And that is Same Disease. Yeah, I've never been the biggest fan of this one. Yes, it is kind of catchy, but I think it's just kind of repetitive, to be quite honest. And it's also kind of cheesy, if you ask me. But Same Disease, not terrible, but I think it's the worst Red song, to be quite honest with you guys. So, If there's one Red song in their entire catalog that I'd say skip, it'd be this one, Same Disease. But yeah, that'd be my pick for Release the Panic. Next, we got Of Beauty and Rage. This is kind of a tough one because there's really no bad song from this album either. There's a lot of great songs from this album. I mean, almost just about every song on this album is great, I'd say. However, if you had to make me choose a least favorite or a weakest track on this album, I would probably go with Yours Again. I still think it is a good song, but it is the weakest on the album, I'd say. There's not much wrong with this song, but it's just kind of bland, and it just kind of pales in comparison to the other songs on this album. I remember, when this song first came out, I believe it was one of the singles along with Darkest Part. I remember whenever I first heard Yours Again, I mean, I wasn't mind blown by it, but I do think it is a really good song, and I still think it is a good song. But all in all, I think it's got to be the weakest on the album. It's just not as musically interesting as the other songs, but still a pretty solid track, I'd say. So Yours Again, that's my pick for Of Beauty and Rage. Now, next we got to talk about Gone, which is, to me, their weakest album. There's a few songs on this album that don't really have strong replay value, but if you had to make me go with the weakest on the album, I would go with the one cover song that's on here, Unstoppable, which I believe is a Sia cover. Now, this song, it's catchy, yes, and it's more, poppy. It's a very poppy track for Red. That goes without saying, of course. It's definitely one of their more poppier tracks, but I don't know. This one, to me, it's just, I'm not sure what it is about it. Now, maybe like with Ordinary World, maybe the reason I'd say it's the weakest is because it's just a cover song, but I don't know. It's, kind of repetitive, but just kind of. It's not as repetitive as Same Disease, I don't think, but I don't know. There was a time where I did have this song on repeat a couple times, but it really hasn't aged well, I don't think. So Unstoppable, that's got to be my pick for the album Gone. Now finally, we got Declaration, the latest Red album, and this one is also kind of easy for me. Now with this one, there's not really a bad song on this album either. I do think that this is Red's best album since Of Beauty and Rage. However, if you had to make me go with the weakest track on the album, I'd probably go with The Victim. This song is not bad, but like with Best Is Yet to Come, it's just not very memorable. I honestly don't remember much from this song, The Victim. I mean, maybe that's because I've only listened to it like once or twice, to be quite honest. And I remember thinking, it's pretty good, but it's kind of just standard Red. And I think that's one of the other complaints that I have with it. It is just kind of standard Red. Like, it doesn't really bring much new to the table, which is maybe why it's more on the forgettable side. It is kind of just standard Red, I think. But still not a bad song by any means. It's still pretty good for what it is. So The Victim, that's got to be my pick for Declaration. Well, there you have it. Those are my picks for the worst Red songs from each album. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with my list? What are your least favorite Red songs? Feel free to let me know. So with that said, thanks for watching. Have a nice day and take care.